programming. Can I please have a motion to approve our consent grouping items 5A1 through 5D1?
A motion.
Second.
Okay, and then we will move on to our curriculum report by Mr. Colley.
Okay, not much to report. We had two presentations this week. One was from the IT group. Susan and Logan presented the update on what was working and not working kind of in the IT department. Gave us an update on tickets. We've had 2,700 tickets this year that they've opened and fulfilled since the school year started. That's a little high, but as the school year progresses, that will drop as people get more accustomed to technology and hardware, so they felt confident about that. One thing they did bring up that was new this year is the tech team has support staff on site in the rooms and in the buildings. So before you had to call, put a ticket in, somebody from the office will come over and fix things or help. This has really helped with morale, with community, and letting somebody be in that group. They're seeing that team being part of that family. It really helped that process going forward. So good things coming from the IT department and tech support there. Then we had 3 educators from the multi-language learning group present. This is a group that helps students where English is not their primary language, which is interesting to me in learning that we in Forest Hills support over 61 languages that aren't primarily English. So huge opportunity for us to bring students along and get them up and running in our district. They're doing a great job supporting these students. Last year they graduated over 80 students that allow them to assimilate into programs that now they're fluent is English in their first language. They can really bring them along. They do that in different levels. They do that as meeting the students where their level is. They go into classrooms and help educators in the class. They pull students out and have one-on-one class sessions, as well as having group support, which other students are helping those students learn English as a primary language, which is really, really interesting and really shows the support and the sense of community these students are getting to learn English and allow them to grow as students in our district. Cool technology they have, they're calling it, it's called Pocket Talk. It's, I'd say, the size of a phone that allows anybody that uses it, student, staff, a parent, an educator, to speak into that and then scroll down to the language that they want the output to be. It will then fluently translate in the right dialect to that student, so there's a connection made, and it goes both ways. So that student or person who doesn't have English as a primary language, just take that Pocket Talk, they can use it and translate and communicate effectively. They're using it in small groups. They showed us an example. They took it on a field trip where a student was learning about the outdoors, and the presenter was able to translate in the languages. So it's great the way technology is helping bring them along. And then one final way is when teachers and educators use the SMORE application to communicate with a parent with a worksheet or a handout or a flyer, there is a link on the top of it that you can say translate, and it translates into that person's dialect or language. And once they choose that, it is then remembered. So each time they receive that information, they're able to really get that information firsthand as they're learning English. So great way technology and the educators really bringing our students along to make it sound like a beautiful community here at Forest Hills. We have 3 requests that we will be giving for education. We're going to ask for digital support of our Connected Mathematics project for under 30-day review, as well as Principles of Macroeconomics, the 3rd edition for the AP class in Forest Hill Eastern. The AP board has changed and redesigned that language and that book. We've been using the books from 2011, so it's time for us to update the educational process. So again, we're a 30-day review, and then we have our 30-day approval for AP seminar, the books, The Anxious Generation, The Nickel Voice, and How to Break Up With Your Phone, which I have started to read. So, all good there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Colley? All right, we will head on over to Dr. Mashad for finance update.
Okay, I wasn't physically present for finance, but I was able to review all of the materials with Mrs. Davis ahead of time, and the agenda was pretty concise. Financial statements for August were reviewed, and Tower Pinkster was back in with us to give a construction update, particularly focused around Ada Elementary. We got to see the plans there. We did in subcommittees, and specific mention or attention brought to the collaboration with people in the building that's been going on, not just for an individual project where all of the staff and people affected by these spaces get to have input and get to say what their needs and wants are, but also building to building as we continue to move across the district and redesign spaces, and they take similar themes from each other. Principals are collaborating. There's crosstalk across lots of different job titles to say what worked really well, what spaces they're enjoying at Meadowbrook, so that the next school can benefit from that, et cetera. So really good examples of collaboration that they highlighted there. And as we know, coming to us, there's a number of projects out to bid right now, so we'll be able to review those in the coming months. A couple of action items for us tonight for approval. One is the Connected Mathematics project that Mr. Colley mentioned. Support 6th to 8th grade, amount not to exceed $49,350 out of the general fund. That's just a one-year subscription while the curricular review is happening this year. The second is a request to enhance our contract with Parkway Electric and Communications. They're the group who's been installing the CareHawks throughout the district. Those are in, and kind of assessing that, the district recognized sort of a gap in that initial ask, which is that they were not put in places where students are not primarily receiving instruction, places like Fine Arts Center, the Aquatic Center, transportation, but obviously places where we have staff and where students can interact. So the request is to add additional units in those buildings so that the entire district has the same safety standards. The request is to add an amount not to exceed $258,000 to the current contract, which, as a reminder, previously approved was about $3.5 million. So relatively a small addition to cover the rest of the buildings. That comes out of 2021 and 2023 capital projects. Next item is an annual item, recommendation to approve a one-year extension to Caterberg Verhaeghe for snow removal. They have worked throughout the district the last 3 years. It was bid in 2022, and we'll do that again next year if we approve this one-year extension. Amount not to exceed $292,065 out of the general fund. Next is to approve a contract for paving work with A1 Asphalt Incorporated. This is to repave the area at Ada Vista where all the construction materials were housed. It's that small little lot kind of off to the right. It did its job and it took quite a beating hosting all of that, so that just needs a new layer on there. It was put out to bid, 4 bidders. A1 is the low bid, amount not to exceed $80,100 out of 2023 capital projects. Next is to purchase some furniture for the Forest Hills Central Media Center, High School Media Center. They they had a lot of refurnishings done in 2016 there, so a lot of that is still usable, and most of that is going to be reused in the new media center when it's complete. But with the redesign and moving of parts, there's some other needs that have been recognized, so this is to kind of fill in some of those gaps. Multiple purchasing co-ops, like we do for furniture, amount not to exceed $101,170, and that'll be out of the 2025 capital projects fund. And then a single refunded property tax to Kent County for $76,971.42. And finally, for us, as we all heard, subcommittees, the approval of our audited financial statements. This is an annual process that we go through with Manor Casterson. As we mentioned, there's lots of line items. It's very thick. We got to review that in detail with Mrs. Davis. Thank you for summarizing all of this for us. The end results, we have variance every year in our budget and our expenditures, or our revenue and our expense. This year, the variance on the expense side was larger than normal, certainly larger than our average, our 10-year average, but it was to the good, so it ultimately meant more money in our fund balance than we had planned on. We know we don't spend every dollar that gets put in the budget every year. We manage that conservatively. So the higher variance than normal, and again, that's comprised of a lot of different line items where spending was less than anticipated. But ultimately, what it means for our bottom line is a fund balance from June of 2025 of about 21% of our annual expenditure, which is a little higher than we had anticipated, which is good, which is healthy. And all the opinions that were given to us in auditing our financial statements were unmodified, which we've heard before is actually the best that you can do on these, so high ranks there. And thanks as always to Assistant Superintendent Davis and Tina and the entire business office. And those were our items.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for Dr. Michaud? All right, then can we please have a roll call vote for our consent grouping?
Yeah, Dr. Michaud?
Yes.
Ms. Goodwin?
Yes.
Mrs. DeBoer?
Yes.
Mr. Colley?
Yes.
Dr. Fosson?
Yes.
Mrs. Trine, yes.
All right, and we will move on now to our superintendent's